Good afternoon, everyone. Happy 2017 and welcome back. We've seen a busy start to the week already, so I'm sure you guys are well underway with your price files and all that comes with picking up your customer orders and things. So what we wanted to cover in light of that is one, a new report that has been put in so you can track your supplier spend, and also a report that's been in there for a long time but perhaps underused by some of our customers, is really a list of items that have changed over since the previous week. So you're getting your weekly terms files from your suppliers, and for the ones that are automatic, it just applies to the system, and if you're not necessarily on top of those cost price increases, then some products that you might expect to see quite stable, you may find there's significant price hikes. So the report will just allow you to essentially identify the products that have changed and give you a value of what's changed monetary wise, and also a percentage value. So I'll start by looking at that sheet, and Kelly's on board today, and she'll be answering any questions you guys have got during the chat. So just a bit of background. Essentially the way it works is you guys receive the weekly electronic terms. They're imported into the system automatically, and if I just jump into Prima, then you have your catalogue items, and I've just got a Vow catalogue as an example here. It could be spices, could be Antalis. Okay, if I open one of these lines, what you'll have in here is the current cost price. So this field that I've highlighted is your current cost price, and as the terms file is imported automatically, that gets updated, and in turn, if you use the preferred supplier method, will update your product cost price as well, product record cost price. Okay, so what we're seeing here is making sure that, first of all, these prices are being applied, and you will have a notification in here of the previous date and previous information. So you can see I've gone in there and changed the price for the purposes of the session. So you've got some date. We don't have access to the automatic terms coming into into my training database anyway. So, but you would see some information there to let you know that it's changed and on what date. So on the back of that, you're getting these price updates, and then what we advise is the report that's been in here for a while is run potentially on a Monday morning, to basically identify what has changed, I suppose notably increased over the prices that you had in your system last week. Okay, so if I just jump into the reporting area, and I'll show you how it works very quickly. So into my advanced reports lookup, you will see I've searched on the ones that are relevant to catalogues, but you could just bring back the whole list, and I've got this report here called price change on catalogue, mailers and products. Okay, so if I double click and open that, I think I've already got it open here. What will happen is it will bring up this sheet, and this sheet will tell you versus that previous period that is defined in the criteria, and it defaults to last week, okay, unless you change it. What will happen is any products that you see in this list will have changed versus that criteria period. Okay, so what I'm seeing is here, these 12 products, the price has changed. So I've got my unit cost column here, I've got what it was before, and I've got a monetary value change here. I'm going to request that the kind of labels to the top get updated by default, but this column here where you see the 0 point values, these are percentage change values. So basically what I've done is, and this is an example to you guys to go ahead and update it yourselves, is I've gone into the edit layout mode and I've created essentially a custom version of this report to just highlight to me quickly essentially the ones that have changed. So same report, going into the catalogs price change one, and I've just done a save as and created a new one. What I've done is in the edit layout option I've put some conditional formatting in here, so it will tell me as a highlight, show me the ones that have increased, and just basically highlight those items. So when I export the data, I've got a quick reference to the stuff that's increased. Okay, it also the report shows any change. So if the price has decreased, I know probably unlikely in most cases, but I've put some conditional formatting in there as well. In fact, this column here is this price change type column is basically referencing an I or a D, and that will basically tell you that it's an increase or a decrease versus the previous cost. Okay, so very quickly I can identify a list of products here, and I'm seeing a load of KF products, and I'm supposed to get some significant terms on these KF products. But since last week, I've received a almost 24% increase on that product, and it gives you that kind of opportunity to have the conversation with your reps. I know some cases the price increases are inevitable, like the consumables and things, but some of the products you'd expect to see a more stable cost price. So what some of our customers do already, and what may be of an advantage to you, is each time you increase or run this report on a weekly basis, run an export and then save the file as the date week commencing blah 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 2017, 2nd of the 1st 2017, and then what you'll be able to do is save that as in Excel format, and then if you store a folder, for example, with those cost price changes on, when you have your review with your reps, you'll be able to see, well, okay, these selection of items started at whatever price, and over the period of time I've seen an X% rise in those products. So it's a really quick report. There's nothing to it. In terms of what I've done there from a conditional formatting point of view to find out or identify quickly the items that have increased, all I've done is gone into the edit layout mode. I'll just bring it across, it's on another screen, and then in this edit layout I've highlighted the column that I want to add a rule to, and clicked on conditional formatting and highlight the rules, and anything where it's greater than 0 I've have that red text, and then clicked OK, and that's it. So you might have an acceptable percentage. For example, anything greater than 10%, I want those ones to highlight because I'm going to expect some kind of increase, or 5%, whatever it may be. But just bear in mind it's on a per week basis, so if you're getting 10% increases each week, then that might be something to have a look at. So yeah, really quick report. If you want to add things like filters and sorting options in here, you can highlight a column, and I've added at the top of the options on here, allow to filter. So what that will allow me to do is, when I come out of this, option, it will say, do you want to just see the increases or just see the decreases, like you can in Excel, just the same as an Excel filter. Once you've made any changes, by the way, if you just click the X to close, it'll ask you, do you like to apply the changes? You click yes, and then just make sure, if it's the first time you're doing it, you run a save as, and then it'll ask you to rename it. So you might recall my weekly price increase file. If you've already got the file as a custom file, then just click save, and then it will save the weekly increase file. So, like I say, any changes that you make when you do a save as, it creates a custom file. So if you need to access that file again, I'm looking at standard reports here. So custom ones are anything where I've created a version of it myself. You'll see type CUS, and that's when I've done a save as in the report. Okay, so pretty straightforward from a reporting point of view, but really powerful in terms of you being on top of your cost prices and having a kind of position of, we know you've been creeping our prices up when you have those conversations with your reps. Okay, so that was that on that point. Next one is the purchase analysis report. It was covered briefly in the release notes webinar, and I'm just going to go through it slightly more detailed, just so our customers are comfortable. It's a time of year where we're seeing a lot of people having the reviews with their suppliers and things, so I thought it was relevant to basically have a look at what your spend is with your suppliers and how to manipulate the report to get information out that you need. Okay, so if I take out that information and go into purchase order processing, and I'll look at the analysis type. So, and just look at the standard version. So the standard version is always the default. Okay, so I run this report and it will bring back by default year, month, the month title, costs, quantities, which supplier you're looking at, and then the nominals and the nominal groups associated with those products. Now, I personally think to start with it looks a bit busy, so we can strip out a bit of the information and just leave it with some relevant stuff to get you going. So in the first instance, it might just be show me the spend by supplier. I don't want to see any of this, so in which case you can just click and drag the information out. So you're looking at a month by month view via your supplier accounts. Because I've not got any products in here, my quantity is kind of irrelevant, so I can drag that out of here as well. So very quickly, I've got a monthly spend by supplier. Okay. If you click on these, you can add a quick filter, for example, and then you can, anywhere there's posted invoices and credits against those suppliers, purchase invoices and credits, you'll see as options in here. So you might only want to see Val versus Spices if you're having an account review, or want to see how the spend's evolving with both suppliers over a period of time, then you can very quickly just choose the ones you want. Okay, and then what happens is you build in the bits of information that you want around the thing. So you might want to bring in the company name, so you can drag in the company name, and then you'd start to build up those things again. So the classifications that we were talking about that were in there originally, I don't need to subtotal everything, but I want to get an idea of where's my money going with these particular classifications. So anything where you've got posted purchase invoices against those classifications, you'll see that in the. So you might be going to Spices for your paper, and Val for your furniture, for example. So it'll just give you an idea of what's going on very quickly. Once you've got groups in there, you can go all the way down to kind of stock code level, and descriptions. Obviously, just bear in mind the report will get quite big over the period of time if you've got lots of months in there, and then you've got down to stock code level as well. This is only sample data, so it's obviously be a bit smaller than that. And then you've got your quantity then would become more relevant. So if you're looking at product codes, then you might want to drag your quantity back into your data so you can see, right, well, whatever these codes are, I've got quantities against them. So I think the measures generally looks better if you see it like that, because if you're looking month by month, it's much easier to get a picture of what's going on. So you can see the costs that you've spent against the product, and then you can see the quantities. So is it something that they've bought as a one-off, but a high quantity, or are you guys regularly buying that item from that supplier? That's the kind of information that you want when you're running a review. So in the same way that you've got the sales reporting in the analysis section, you can have multiple flavors of the same report. If it's the case that you want to do a product group breakdown, or you just want to have that very quick overview of what you're spending with each supplier, each time you drag and drop the stuff into the report, run a save as, and it'll ask you to create a name for that report, and you'll have that in your custom list of analysis reports next time you come back in. Okay, so I just, as an example, let's have a look. Let's see the top spending classifications. So if I go into sort and then more sort options, look at the descending by the cost. So I spent the most on this product code called Cherry over the period of time, and the most in terms of quantity, and then it will break down amongst your other groups what are your top items in there. So it might be the case that you don't want classifications in there, you just want a usage report against product codes for that particular supplier. You might not want the months, because you can put the dates into the criteria. So show me product codes for the supplier and the quantities, in which case the measures probably does look better in there. So it's just a case of dragging and dropping into the relevant areas to see the information in the way that you want it to. So what are my top spending items with spices over, going back into the sort again, right click sort and cost. It's done by product code. Into the product code, more sort options, descending, and then look by cost. So by cost, what's my top items, and you could run that same sort by quantity as well, and it'll look at both suppliers then. So if you're, like I say, if you're doing a review with your reps, you can very quickly have a report already laid out for them. So whenever you want to check what your spend is on products, you can just, when you go to export the report, you've got this option here, export to, and you can put it into Excel, or you can create a CSV file if you wanted to, and it will give you a breakdown of your spend with the suppliers. We think this stuff is obviously more relevant now, given all the price increases that we've certainly seen for you guys in the last couple of months. So it's really just an awareness thing to make you, if you want to be on top of it, here are the tools to get that information out of the system. So they're working exactly the same way as the sales analysis reports, and what you'd end up with if you're doing the save as, you just end up with a list of custom versions. So I've got one here, created a custom one called supplier spend, and all it is, and I've got it open already, it's just that. It's just a breakdown of month by month spend on my suppliers. But I might have one, product groups, spend by product groups, etc. as in the custom list. Okay. So that's all I wanted to go through with you today, really. If you've got any questions, Kelly and I will sit online for a few minutes and answer the questions. But I think it's a really nice addition to the reporting area, being able to do this spend cost breakdown by supplier, and it'll give you that ammunition, if you like, when you're having the meetings with your reps, and analysing who's the preferred supplier partner. Okay, so we'll be back next week. Topics to be decided, I guess, on the Twitter. I don't know if you all have seen, but we are running some training workshops at in the first quarter of the month. The first one being on reporting itself from the sales side. I'll just jump to a page here. So we're looking at CRM and customer analysis. So some tools that we think you need to be using in Prima, from the reporting and analysis side, and basically getting them as part of your process within your business, and making sure your team are using these reports, whether it's the automated stuff, the CRM, the new CRM stuff, and also the opportunities for you guys to give us some feedback as we grow the CRM side of things. So should be a really good day. The first one is on the 19th of Jan, and you can drop training at Prima Software and .co.uk an email if you want to have some more information about it or want to book yourself onto the course. I think there's a couple of places left, but we're limiting it really because we want to keep the sessions quite tight in terms of numbers, and then we'll see the users get more out of the day. So following on from that, we're doing a Prima Go workshop in Feb, and we're also running a new starter course, and that one's into March. So got some exciting workshop stuff coming up. It'd be great to see some of our customers along. Like I say, if you've got any questions, just give it a shout, and we will see you next week. Thank you.